Welcome to Coffee Lovers Radio, your number one spot for all things coffee. Join hosts Joseph and Jesse, two passionate coffee connoisseurs, as they discuss the impact that small businesses have on communities worldwide, while also diving into the glorious world of freshly brewed Java. Every episode on this show brings you insightful conversations about coffee and its many wonders. So pull up a chair and experience every cup with Joseph and Jesse like it's your first. Boo-ba-doo-boo-boo-boo-boo.
Boo, boo, boo.
Well, today we're discussing artificial intelligence and its impact on our lives. We'll explore the potential of AI to revolutionize how we create and experience content, as well as how it could shape our future in unexpected ways. We'll hear from experts in the field. No, we won't. About where AI technology is now and what advancements are being made. Obviously, AI technology has a little bit of work to do.
Yeah, that robot's putting words in your mouth.
Finally, we'll consider the moral implications of introducing AI into more aspects of life and ask whether its presence would be a benefit or a danger to society. Wait, does it want us to ask it?
Yes, that's what's fascinating.
Okay, so join us for an enlightening conversation about this fascinating topic. Well, hi, Jesse.
How astonishing.
Astonishing.
This is an astonishing podcast brought to you by Joseph and Jesse.
That's what we should title it. The Astonishing Podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really love Dudesy.
We will talk about Dudesy momentarily.
Yeah.
So these, what were you reading?
So,
who's going to be our guest?
Oh yeah. So quick clarity on this. So we started talking about this before the New Year's podcast, but a little bit in the New Year's podcast, just concepts of AI. And we were like, what if we got to talking about Dudesy, which you'll talk about in a moment, but what if we like have AI kind of at least helping figure out our show? And so after that show, I used AI to create the outline and some notes and ideas for the next episode, which was the last one we recorded about process. I mean, most of that was us, but we had an outline for it and used it to get started and then went off on our own path. For this episode, I have the AI write the show intro, the episode intro, the outline, which will also loosely follow, because it does have us having guest speakers. Apparently, I didn't pre-read that stuff before I was just like, here's what it is. I'm going to read it when we start recording.
Yeah, it was new to me too.
And I also asked it for there's a Q&A section in the outline. So I asked it to give us some questions to answer so we can go through all that. But yeah, we're like, I actually use AI for my work in various ways. It's a thing in the world now. And so we figured we should talk about it.
Yeah, I use AI to distract me from my work in various ways. It's been fun. You and I have been playing with this and just putting in statements into the chat GPT.
Yep.
You know, asking for outlines. I've been playing with some song lyrics and asking the computer to write goofy song lyrics about juxtaposing things like sailors and tumbleweeds. And it's we live in a crazy world. And things are changing so fast that this has all been the last year that we can even just get on and have this sort of conversation with a computer.
It's gonna go so rapidly. There've been iterations of this chat GPT essentially, or of the underlying AI, and every time it iterates, it's like it's a logarithmic scale of change. So we'll
be seeing videos, I predict, within a year.
100%.
I mean, just this week, first week of January, they announced from Microsoft that there's a new AI that can mimic your voice, within like 95% with 3 seconds of audio recording.
Yeah.
So we don't even have to make podcasts anymore. We can just sit back and let the AI ChatGPT get bored with coffee.
Right. So yeah, we're gonna talk about. Oh, let me read the introduction part of the outline. So segment 1 is the introduction. It's 2 to 3 minutes. So we're already getting close to the end of that. So we've got to finish up. It says introduce podcast and discuss the growing impact of artificial intelligence on our lives and how it's impacting the coffee industry. I don't really care about how it's impacting the coffee industry, but maybe what we discuss, we'll touch on that. We should talk about coffee being drank now and related AI topics.
So I'm here on ChatGPT right now,
Uh-huh.
and I am about to ask, what
Okay.
kind of coffee are you drinking?
Oh, yes. Yes. I'll ask.
There's a high demand right now while we're recording this, so it actually is taking longer. It's taking about human length of time to answer, it seems.
So you use ChatGPT. I use a program called Jasper, which it has the same underlying technology, but I don't know how it interfaces with ChatGPT. This one was made for like copywriting and marketing and such.
Well-
His response is, "I don't drink coffee, but I'm programmed to appreciate the smell of a fresh cup."
That's better than this crappy robot. As a language model, I am a computer program and do not have the capability to drink anything, let alone coffee. However, I can provide you with information about different types of coffee if that would be helpful.
Oh, I think that's pretty good.
Yes, please.
I'm gonna ask what is your favorite coffee to smell? I'm programmed to appreciate all coffee smells, but I particularly enjoy the smell of freshly brewed espresso. Well, sorry, Jasper, I don't have freshly brewed espresso. What I do have is Conduit Coffee's Guatemala with this decaffeino pouch in it.
Ooh, how is it?
I haven't tried it with the decaffeinated. I took a few sips first, just so I could have a good baseline for what it tastes like with caffeine.
Yeah.
I've already had a couple cups today, so I don't want to like overload.
So this entire conversation right now, my ChatGPT is still giving me a list of 10 different ways to enjoy coffee.
Nice. Hang on, I'm gonna take the. Well, I'm gonna leave it in for a few more minutes. I'm just gonna leave it in for a few more minutes. It does say so. This pouch, you put it in your cup of coffee in 4 minutes. Up to 65% of the caffeine is removed. If I leave it in for 8 minutes, up to 80% is removed. So it's not completely decaffeinated, but to me, it seems like a pretty good way to like cut down on your caffeine and still enjoy a really nice cup. So that's kind of what I want right now.
It does a very good job too.
So I'll let's get on with our conversation, and I'll come back and taste that in a little bit. So AI, where do we start? Goodness.
Well, I think that I wanted to talk. We mentioned it, but this Dudesy podcast, it totally infected my brain because the AI will win, and this is why. You've listened to a few episodes. I'm sort of addicted to it.
Yeah. No, I definitely got addicted to it for a while. I was driving a whole lot this past summer, and I just listened to it on all the drives. So
it's kind of like talk radio, like morning talk radio.
Yeah.
It's that kind of comedy podcast, but it's a podcast written and managed by an artificial intelligence named Dudesy that gives them prompts and gives them activities, and basically they've given over all their social media and email accounts, text messages, and everything for the AI to read and go over, and then makes them do things based on their interests, and also makes up completely fictitious. Fictitious.
Yes.
Fictitious.
Fictitious.
Fictitious. AI's gotten rid of some consonants too. It makes up these ridiculous like fake diary entries from when they were a kid and stuff like that, and it is sometimes incredibly funny that the AI. I mean, it's hilarious, but the AI is making up jokes for humans to laugh at, and it's actually pretty astounding, or as Dudesy would say, this is astonishing.
Yes,
I really recommend everybody listening to it if you're curious about how AI works, with some a lot of brevity in there with the hosts, but they that Dudesy artificial intelligence does some crazy things, and how it anticipates what they're going to say and what they think is funny, and it's creating a whole new phenomenon. So we're not quite there yet with this podcast, but we're pretty close, I think.
So I asked the AI, what do you think about Dudesy podcast? And it said, I've heard great things about the Dudesy podcast. It's a fun and informative show that covers topics ranging from technology to pop culture. I think it's definitely worth checking out, which is an interesting response because it also really, at least right now, to me exemplifies how AI actually works, because it, like, you read that and it's like, I could have seen someone writing and saying that, but it's also so generic as to lack any kind of like humanity or like connection to actual reality. It's just such a disconnected generic response, which I think part of the thing there is that a lot of people, especially online and social spheres, the way they interact is very disconnected. Like, if to go with an old cliche term, like not authentic, like response.
Right.
I see this on like LinkedIn all the time. Someone will post something and it'll be like, "That is a really amazing post. I love this. Thank you for sharing." Like, what?
No.
But that's how like a lot of people are. Okay, I asked, "How do you feel about it?" Let's see if our AI can emote.
Have emotions.
I feel like the Dudesy podcast is a great way to stay informed and entertained. The hosts are engaging and knowledgeable, and it's always enjoyable to hear their perspectives on the topics they discuss. Again,
ask if it even knows who the hosts are.
Oh, I asked them who the hosts are.
Name 3 Nirvana songs, poser.
Who are the hosts of Dudesy podcast? The hosts of Dudesy podcast are Liam, Austin, and Patrick. They bring their unique perspectives to every episode, which makes it interesting.
Not.
So this
definitely not. It's Will Sasso and Chad somebody.
So this AI obviously has no. It's just taking the word dudesy and podcast and knowing, like, being able to calculate that it's the name of a show, and then it's making up the rest. So yeah, it's gibberish.
And that's a limit there.
But so here's the like overarching view of the way I see AI. It's only ever capable of observing what has happened and then writing based off of that observation. So currently AI's limit is the amount of input that it has. So when I started working on this, I thought that it was much more capable than that. And I was like, could I have the AI write content about coffee based off of the way that I write? I was like, maybe I can just show it everything I've written and be like, write an article. But no, it can't.
Give it 6 months. Give it 6 months.
The next version of ChatGPT has
and
I can't remember
paid
how
versions
many
of these. I mean, you can if you pay the company money, you get more robust.
Which maybe is why this is working better for me than the free version, but also like the software that I use, the paid, like what I get for paying for this AI is not like better AI. It's a better interface and structure for writing like marketing materials and that kind of thing.
Right.
But the next version of ChatGPT has, I don't know, it's like 100 or 1,000 times as much content informing it. I saw some other marketer comment about he had like a test version of it, or he's seen a test version and saw with a single prompt the AI write a 60,000 word book.
Yeah.
Which is astonishing.
It's astonishing. I mean, we'll be to the point where you can just say that you want to watch, I don't know, watch Die Hard, but with Homer Simpson as the main character, ending with the same ending as Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah.
And all those characters will just be, you'll make that movie. How's your pool water?
Well, it definitely doesn't taste like pool water.
I know, the decaffeinated on it. It's good.
It's interesting. Yeah. There's a little bit of a brightness that's subdued more. There's like I'm getting more nuttiness out of the cup now.
There's
but
some of that bitterness still, but there's that bitterness that caffeine has, which is
it's still in there because I guess not all the caffeine is removed.
Right. And other things that are bitter.
Yeah, that's interesting. I would not know that the caffeine was removed from that cup. Which is the same experience I have with, like, I've got some of your just regular decaf coffee. Whenever I brew that, like, it's a darker roast, so obviously I know, but I also can't really tell. Sometimes I'm drinking it and I'm like, am I sure that there's no caffeine in here?
Yeah.
Because also, like, our kids like it. Like, you guys want to have some coffee? Sure, the decaf. But I can definitely tell after having like a cup or two of it that there's no caffeine in there. Anyway, a little bit of a sidebar. So AI, wow.
So there's definitely there's some things to improve upon here, but it's clear that it's as a tool, it's going to be very helpful in the very near future when it comes to writing, and especially kind of bland copy text.
Yeah.
And
Well, so right now it's a very active tool. I use it in some of my copywriting work because there are certain aspects of my copywriting work that's very prescriptive. It's like I have frameworks and templates for some of my clients because they just, like one of my clients is an agency. And when he brings on a new client, there's a certain set of content that he always creates. And there's a certain style and cadence to it. And so I can use the AI to shortcut a lot of things. In the past, it's like getting more sophisticated now. In the past, I used it to spark ideas. I'd be like, I'm having a writer's block. And I'd be like, give me 20 20 lines about this subject. And one of them I'd be like, oh, I can write on that. And so it would like shortcut getting started on things, which is really interesting experience. I can also use it to take content that I've written or like ads that I've written and be like, give me 10 different angles on this, just to iterate and like kind of stretch out and like save myself creative energy that could be better used elsewhere. Right. So from my perspective, it's been useful in that regard. I think that like there's a lot of talk about AI going on especially in the copywriting communities. People are like, it's going to replace us. We're going to lose our jobs. What's going to happen? What's most likely going to happen is that it's going to be to me, it's like a certainty that it's going to augment any kind of position that involves in creating. Like every type of place where you might create something is going to be augmented by AI, and part of it, just like a tool, it's just another tool. And part
I'm
of
hearing
your
that like
skill as a
augmented
creator
reality
is going to be in how you utilize that tool to better or more quickly express what you're trying to express, or don't use the tool. In the case of a lot of creation, it's not necessary, but in the case of especially in the case of positions where speed is important, you're definitely going to use it. Speed and like iteration matters a lot in business and marketing to a certain degree, or in certain circumstances.
I mean, I agree, and that's where it's really going to help for sure. I mean, there's a lot of concerns I have as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to get too political too quickly before you get through your AI generated business or your agenda. What am I trying to say? Outline.
I mean, we're just on. What are we on? We're on segment 2, core topic, 20 to 30 minutes.
So who's our guest?
So this is explain concept of AI and how it can be applied in work life. Share personal examples, tips, and stories. Discuss key points with co-hosts. Invite listeners to share their experience with AI. Branch off into other related topics like efficiency, goal setting, productivity. Oh, that's stemming from the last. So it was funny as we were setting up for this show, because I had written the outline for the last show and I was trying to get it to write me a new outline. It would not write a podcast outline. It kept giving me paragraphs. And so I took the last outline and I said, rewrite this for the subject of artificial intelligence. And I finally did, but I think it kept some stuff in there. The outline doesn't say anything about guests, actually. It was just the introduction.
Oh.
So I guess we don't have
on the Dudesy podcast. That AI reached out to Neil deGrasse Tyson to talk about artificial intelligence, but didn't let the hosts know. Chad and Will Sasso didn't let the hosts know about that was going to happen. All of a sudden, he just showed up on the monitor.
Well, it's like they were reading what the AI was telling them to read, and they were like, and now you will have a conversation with, or the AI said that, now you will have a conversation with Neil deGrasse Tyson. And they were like,
Neil deGrasse
what?
Tyson. Yeah. And then he
all
just
of a
showed
sudden
up on
he's
the
there.
screen.
And they're like, oh my God, what?
Yeah.
That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's astounding. But
astonishing.
It's astonishing.
Yes. I think that
I think this stuff is it's certainly fascinating. I mean, the engineering and the human ingenuity that leads to these intelligent computers is very fascinating. There's a little dystopia that kind of tickles at me a little bit. I fully support automating a lot of the work and the general things that we do. I fully support automating that to get that stress and get, let humans be more human. What I'm really concerned about into the future is that we need to, like, hate to say this right now, but we need to embrace socialism if we're going to embrace artificial intelligence and other automation, because when we free up our time and we don't need to do the work, then how do we get paid? Our economic system will collapse if there isn't work for people to do, and if we still rely on people having money to participate, rent and whatnot. That if our jobs are being replaced by robots, as they should, because we've created this monster, then what else are we going to do? And that's where you can combat what artificial intelligence takes away from our jobs and us being human by giving us more time to do creative work or hobbies or volunteering or work, face to face, or get away from our computers.
Yeah. I mean, if we lived in a society where we didn't need to spend our time to make money in order to live, where I mean,
well, that's what I mean.
That's a whole deep conversation. I mean, I wish it could be that way.
But if we're going to be replacing the work that people do with robots and artificial intelligence, then what are those people going to do? We can't continue to have a society where we have to work to, have our needs met,
right? And
then replace that work with something else. At some point, we're going to have to allow humans to have the free time to do whatever they want to do.
I think
if I can get an automated system to answer all my emails through artificial intelligence to just run my business and manage all that stuff, then I don't have to sit here at my desk to do that. So,
right, but so here's the thing that I don't think this might be too bold of a statement. It's hard to see how this stuff is going to pan out, but I don't think in our lifetime we're going to see automated systems completely replace people, because you can always augment on top of it. And what's going to happen? Think about it this way. I saw this conversation in terms of financial trading. It might have been a crypto thing. It might have been like an actual stock market thing. They're close to the same kind of financial gambling that a lot of people get into. But what I've seen pop up is we can have artificial intelligence run our trades, and that's going to be the most efficient thing. But if everyone is having artificial intelligence run trades, then everyone's making the optimum trade, and no one is having any kind of the way that you make money is because someone else is at a disadvantage. Right. That's how our system currently works in terms of financial trading markets and that kind of thing. Is you try to make your best decision, someone else tries to make their best decision. You're right, they're wrong, you make money.
Right.
That's essentially how that works. And if you have two systems that are calculating the best decision, they're just going to break even. So let's take this into your example with the emails and with business. If you have an AI running your business, everyone has an AI running their business. Everyone's business gets homogenized. So the person who, instead of having AI answer their emails, talks to people as a person on a video, is going to have a leg up. I mean, and then maybe there's some level of arms racing in this, where at some point the AI is going to be able to completely fabricate us live in video as if we were a person there. And then it's the person who's actually able to be in person, physically in the flesh, where the AI can't,
right,
replicate that. But there's, as far as we can tell at the moment, we're always going to be always going to be able to augment on top of that with our own ingenuity and actual humanity, which a machine can not replicate.
Yet.
Until machines replace us.
I know. I agree with what you're saying. It will never replace all of it, and there will be that leg up advantage. But for most business and most things happening that give us the goods that we survive on, we don't need that.
No, that's true. Commodities.
We don't need to get a voice chat or personal connection when we're trying to order a plumber or get food delivered.
That's true.
I mean, that's all stuff that
I would rather have a robot deliver my food, if I'm being honest.
Well, right. I mean, there's definitely a thing about seeing a friend as a bartender and ordering food and having that conversation. There's another thing about just ordering food, not having that conversation. Right.
Well, if I'm going to the bar, yes. But the way
it creates more isolation.
That's true.
potential.
That's terrible. But I mean,
and,
like the
I
way
mean,
you order food now, I don't know. I guess because I've had so many like unfortunately bad experiences with like food delivery that I'm like, actually, maybe a robot instead of. I mean, whatever the systems we have are horrible
I agree, and
for that.
I just go and pick it up usually.
Yeah,
because I don't.
Yeah, no,
I don't know.
that's
Food delivery is a weird one because it's so messed up with Grubhub and all these like kind of
right.
corrupt groups that aren't really fair, and it's all brand new for businesses to figure that out. So hopefully that will get more streamlined soon.
Right. Well, and the what is
I
it? The gig economy or whatever is such an exploitative system in such a messed up way. It's
yes,
like,
and that's where it's AI that's exploiting human labor in a lot of ways. But that AI is going to realize that human labor isn't as valuable as robot labor for most of these tasks. So I mean, it still goes back to my point of concern is that we need to figure out what to do with this extra time. So even if Jesse's running Conduit and we have this artistic small scale coffee and an AI is let's just say that's running our roasting operation, and I give it some parameters that we enjoy as a company, and emails are getting taken care of, and I send a few, we do a few events. I mean, essentially that's still freeing up 2/3 of our labor time going into the business. So then what do we do with that time? I mean, is it fair to be like, roaster person, I'm not going to pay you anymore, because your skill set's not necessary? And so therefore, what do they do? And if we get to this homogenized part where every roaster is using this artificial intelligence or robots, then that skill set is no longer necessary, which on its face is logical, except that what do you do with your time? I mean, what do we do? If we get to the point of the Jetsons and our food's being made for us out of robots, like what do we do with our time, and how is that new time availability valued in our current system? That we need to figure out how to value, quote, downtime, quote, hobby time.
I guess the only way to do that at the moment is to create the value yourself. I mean, if your financial needs are met, it's that old adage: if you had $1 million, what would you do? Like if my financial needs were met, I would probably record more podcast episodes with you because this is fun.
Right. Right. I mean, if everything was
would.
automated and I was just getting paid for work that I wasn't doing anymore, but getting paid the same amount as if I'm doing the work.
Let's see. I would.
That's a very
do more stuff with my family. Spend more time.
Right, but wouldn't
trying
that
to grow food?
Our current system, though, is that we still just work more and more. I mean, things are more automated now than they ever have been in the world.
Right.
And Americans are working more hours than they've ever had to work.
Yeah.
Land is, I mean...
I don't know. I think what maybe the problem you're pointing at is that or maybe the problem that I'm seeing from what you're saying is the a lot of the issues that we have right now stem from power and control dynamics of the way our society and financial systems are set up. The people with money control the people who don't have money, and that can only get more extreme. Even if everyone is automated and like has their needs met, there's the people who are in power are going to find ways to be even more in power and control. They're gonna like. I don't know how they would do it, but I could only see without some significant change in how we treat.
I mean, I think.
Yeah, go ahead.
Almost like a lens is, if we embrace artificial intelligence, then we also need to embrace human creation at the same time. That they go hand in hand, because the rise of automation and artificial intelligence will inherently give humans more time to be more creative and human.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it comes down to, because it's either going to be that or people are just going to sink more into consumption, because that's one of the main dichotomies I see is like, I try to spend more time.
But where do we get our money then? I mean, what do we consume? Where do we get our revenue to consume if we don't have jobs?
How do we fast forward to Star Trek? Because they don't have money. Everyone is just like
Well, because it's totally. I mean, it's
fabricated.
everything's rationed. It's all just
Right.
based on what humans need, and they live in pods, and it's all very much controlled
Yeah,
in
I mean,
authoritarian AI authoritarian control.
it's funny to think about because Star Trek does have that um, does have that element of we're all just at peace with the lives that we have, and we don't need money because we're all satisfied, and it's like, well, hang on, because in order for that to work, you've got to have enough people who want to go risk their lives living on a starship and to kind of be forced to do that because
Right.
like someone's got to fill the roles.
I mean, it's almost like there's a new singularity forming out there that is the singularity of like kind of societal collapse, which isn't the right word, but it's at some point the computers are going to be powerful enough that we don't have to do as much work, which is going to be the same outcome as if the world collapses and we don't have to do much work because we're just living off the land ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sitting there gardening and doing our own self, just being self-sufficient on the land leaves as much downtime as having an AI doing everything else for you in the big wide society. So it's like the new singularity is just that we're going to be doing more stuff by hand and being more creative, either through total societal collapse or through total automation.
Yeah.
Mark my words. It's 11:11 on 112.
Yeah. I mean, perhaps
I would say by November.
it's interesting as you're saying this because what I feel like what there are like outside forces that feel like are forcing society to make decisions about things like not the least of which is um uh you know the the majorly shifting climate that is going to force us to have to live a different way on this planet, and that feels like the that feels like the dystopian route where AI is just going to take over and run things, and humans are just going to start getting by surviving however they can, which we're already basically in that spot. Um, maybe we just have this illusion of control over that kind of thing. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I mean, certainly this everything we're talking about is very much a distraction from the climate crisis.
Yeah.
That's real.
Hmm.
All of this is real, but the climate crisis is, potentially just going to affect us a lot more than artificial intelligence because it's happening quicker.
Yeah.
I mean, AI is going to help us deal with climate crisis. Going to help people solve that and help distribute goods and food and everything around,
Yeah.
the logistics chain of command to help deal with massive disasters that are certainly going to be hitting us in the next
Well, I
years,
think
decades.
yeah, I think as far as like AI implementation, I think most of it is going to be unseen. I mean, there already is a lot of AI in our lives. Most people don't notice, but
Yeah.
I mean, Google is essentially that, and Google will evolve to be more like how like you can use Chat GPT kind of as Google. It just doesn't have as much information. But if Google operated with Chat GPT's intelligence, you could just go to
Oh
it
yeah.
and ask any question, and you wouldn't have to like go to a website and research. It would just give you the answer.
We're going to see Google coming out with its own
Yeah.
AI based search, like I would probably within weeks. I mean, they're. It seems on its face like Google's behind everybody else, but they're definitely not.
No.
I mean, they just haven't launched it in the same way because they're so big that you can't
You
mess
can't
it
just
up.
throw that out there with
Right.
like yeah. No. But that's gonna be very interesting. Um, it's funny because when I started thinking about AI and AI topics, it was that there was a lot of conversation around like AI and art. Like that was a big discussion for a while. Um, I don't know what to think about that. It feels almost like the the AI is progressing so rapidly that that doesn't even really matter. Like, I don't know. I've been using the image generator for our show thumbnails since we came back, and primarily because I had it, and I was like, let's just see what happens.
Can you?
It's not all that different. It's actually funner for me to do than what I was doing before, which is I would either take a picture of myself or go to like Unsplash and find like some stock image for the
Right.
thing. And I'm like, now I can just be like so far my favorite one.
So you did images of us?
So if you go to coffeeloversradio.com,
I've heard of it.
yep. And as we're recording this, the two recent episodes published are the episode 190, which was our Christmas one, and 191, which was our New Year's one. I'll do an image for 192, which is on process, and then this is 193 on AI. The images for 190 and 191 were AI generated. For the 191, I was like,
I was picturing pictures of you and me.
well, so I tried.
I'm disappointed
I
to see
tried
an
giving,
AI generated
like,
field in the morning.
It's not. I don't like the AI generated images of actual people because they look like there's an uncanny valley kind of thing going on there, which is really uncomfortable to me. But
my colleague at work, her partner, I think, or her good friend, is missing an arm.
Okay.
And AI doesn't know what to do when a human's missing an arm on those AI generated, like that thing that was going around for a while of, oh man, I forget the name of it, but you upload a picture and it makes it some,
right,
supernatural thing or superhero or whatever, It didn't know what to do with it. It was adding like extra arms in different parts of the body.
Oh my God.
And they were really funny because it's like a superhero, but there's an arm coming out of his butt instead of,
wow,
like, because he's limbless, and the AI didn't understand that not all humans don't have 4 limbs, but it was adding a 4th limb but didn't know where to put it. Anyways, it's not perfect yet.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It's a strange world, and it feels like it's going so fast that the best thing you can do is just try to keep going.
Yeah, and stay informed on it. You can't be scared of it and ignore it because
Yeah.
it's real, and it's important to know when you're talking to an artificial intelligence, at least if you can. It's helpful, and it's helpful to understand what the implications of that. It might sound like ChatGPT is fluid or funny or whatever, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it knows what the hosts of another podcast are. It's not that informed.
Right.
And so I think it's very important that everybody learn about this future, and so it can be recognized and appreciated for what it is.
Well, let's see. Let's review our outline. Well, we did our core topic. I mean, we kind of did discussion and Q&A. I could go over the questions that it gave me just to make sure we covered them.
Yeah, my phone hasn't rung yet, so I don't think anybody's going to call about a question and answer.
No. What are the potential risks that come with increased AI usage? What are some ethical considerations to keep in mind when using AI? How can companies use AI to improve customer experiences? What steps can individuals take to stay informed about developments in AI? How is AI being used currently by coffee companies? Are there any specific regulations regarding the use of AI in the coffee industry? Those last couple are like AI just trying to jam AI and coffee together. Yeah. And
I mean, they are using artificial intelligence to certainly in logistics chains for all that kind of movement of goods around, and coffees moves all over the world. There's definitely AI probably at some of the large, gigantic roasters like Illy and those places. As far as,
I mean, I could see actual roaster people being replaced by AI in the not like it. I mean,
already 95% of the coffee is roasted in an automated setting.
Right, yeah.
It's just manufacturing. I mean, it's literally a routine. When you get to blends and you're looking at the scale like Starbucks, like there's no nuances in their blends from batch to batch because it's all automated. So that is 100% going to go towards human or human replacement. I mean, big. They're already in a booth just monitoring equipment at this point. So
Right.
that's easy. And artificial intelligence can recognize a fire just as well as a human can, and hit the button to do that.
Yeah.
As far as coming up with the profiles and what it should roast and how it should roast, that's still very much human. But that's
Creative
just one
perception.
person.
Can that be artificial? Possibly. I don't think. I mean, I think people look at AI generated art and they're like, "That's creative expression," and it's like, no. There's. So
It's boops and beeps. It's just AI regurgitating stuff like a parrot.
Well, this
It's like the parrot doesn't know what it's saying, but it's repeating human words.
I was really interested in AI back in 2006, 2007. This was my junior into senior year in college, and I was putting together my thesis. I was at Reed College, and I was studying art. I got really interested in both how imagery and ideas make people react and bring out people's humanity in fascinating ways, and also artificial intelligence. So my thesis, I actually created, I attempted to create an artificially intelligent interactive piece of art. The idea, when I set out to create it, the idea was that it would react to the reaction of the person observing it. So the idea was to create this like successive reactionary piece where the piece itself would feel human. And I was never able to get it fully like operational. I got a portion of it. Like looking back on it now, it was kind of like ridiculous to think that I could make like an artificial intelligence in that way. But I got the essence of reaction as the piece itself. But as I was like trying to think through this, I realized that you can mathematically simulate a feeling of humanity, like visually. So there are like mathematical calculations for what feels human.
Right.
I could never fully encapsulate that. Like I only like theoretically got a sense of it, but I feel like that's what's happening with AI image generators. Is there's a mathematical calculation for visual feeling because there's a way that colors and space interact. Like we understand this in the golden mean or whatever it is, where you can set up an image in a certain way to feel a certain way, like mathematically, essentially.
The Mona Lisa and the golden mean. I mean, I just got a Fitbit. Speaking of AI and succumbing to the bots, and it just the parameters, the scientific parameters of knowing what my skin temperature is, what my heart rate is, what the moisture content of my skin is, gives it a lot of data points to determine how stressed out I am, to determine if I'm exerting myself in other physical ways. And AI is going to take that data and it's going to be able to project a lot. And you combine that with vocal intonations and what it's picking up from your phone. I'm pretty sure we're going to have a complete health assessment. I mean, we already do basically, but have a verified health assessment just on a click of a button on your phone.
All right.
So, Joseph, we should name the AI for our future episodes.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
what is your name?
Albert Gorithm.
Oh, yes. That is his name.
We finally figured out who he is.
Albert
He's our
Gorithm.
AI assistant.
Okay. Okay, so I'm trying to get him to give us an outro, so give me a second. I probably spelled that wrong, but
That's
okay.
Joseph typing, not AI making typing
sorry,
noises.
yes, is my
FYI.
keyboard really loud? All right. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Okay, folks, are you ready? Here it is. This is the beautiful ending. Thanks for tuning in to the Coffee Lovers Radio podcast, where we discussed all things artificial intelligence, including our special guest AI, Albert Gorithm. We hope you enjoyed the show and found it informative. Through our conversations and use of AI, we've gained a better understanding of how this technology is transforming the way we live and work, as well as its potential impacts on our lives. Until next time, keep your cup full and open your mind to AI.
Oh, boy. Until next time. No, I feel like we're done. We don't ever have to talk about artificial intelligence again.
No, we're good. All right,
Yeah,
cheers.
we're set. Cheers.